What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, are Robert D. Felice.
Hello.
And Callum Wiggins.
What's up?
People over there, what's up? People over there, not so much. Make it sit
Number
down.
30, I'm looking forward to it.
So, welcome to the final mailbag of at least 2018. It is the December 2018 mailbag. The questions that you had submitted, we're going to answer them. Not all of them, but, we're going to get to most of them. We're going to try to make this a slightly quicker one than normal because we've got plenty of stuff we have to do this week because we are doing the end of the year awards in 2 days, and then that gives me a little bit of time to edit it and all that stuff. So, hey, if you didn't get a chance to send in your mailbag questions, then wait until January. That's how it works.
Do better. Boo you. Do better.
Yeah, you, James. I don't know. Whoever's James that is going to be out there, talking to you, Belle. So let's get into Howard's questions. Howard always goes old school with us, and first question that he had put out was, we're coming up on the 35th anniversary of the Bob Backlund versus Iron Sheik match. If you had to change the course of history, what would you have done differently to have Bob Backlund retain his world title instead of it being the Iron Sheik? Whatever you do, don't throw in the towel. I'm going to cop out here and say I don't think that should have changed, and if I had the option to change it, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't see the point of Bob Backlund holding on to the championship because the Iron Sheik was only given the championship to transition it onto Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And that's an explosion of WWE. So, like the explosion of the actual making it as mainstream as possible. So they wouldn't be, if they decided to hold it onto Bob Backlund for another few months or whatever with the championship, then we might not have the WWE that we know of today.
Yeah, because Hulkamania can't really start off with Bob Backlund being the bad guy, right? You know? It's just not the same.
Well, I'll play along, Howard. I would keep it on Backlund and have Backlund turn heel 10 years early and say he doesn't like this rocking and rolling of MTV, and that's how you get Hulk Hogan in there, beats Bob Backlund on MTV, out with the old and with the new. Same thing, we just take out the foreigner and put him in with the crusty old man.
It's like the Simpsons version of Cosby with the whole, like, with the bippin' and the boppin' and the hippin' and the hoppin'.
They don't know what the jazz is all about.
It's kind of like Jell-O pudding. No, it's more like Kodak film. That'll be around for then, now, and forever.
Hey, what's in that drink?
Question 2 from Howard. If Andre the Giant had kept his winning streak intact after 1987, would he have gone for the World Heavyweight Championship, or would his health be a factor? I think winning streak or not, Andre's career actually would have panned out to be the same that it was. He didn't really need the title. He was an attraction outside of it. Kind of one of those, like, split level type things. You know, you've got the A show and the B show. A show has Hulk Hogan, B show has Randy Savage with the Intercontinental title, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Andre was there because he was, let's put it blunt, a freak. And you got the freak show kind of thing. You don't really need to give him the championship, you know?
So you're saying Lars Sullivan is the next Andre the Giant? You heard it here, folks.
The way that WWE is going to book him, probably.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say right off the bat, Andre wasn't actually undefeated. He had lost plenty of times. It's just that media was different, and you didn't see when Andre lost. I think Andre would have gone for the world title because that seems like a natural. I mean, you know, he should go for the world title. He's a giant, and that is supposed to be the goal of the industry. So why not have him at least attempt for it? He just would have never won it because then you have the impossible task. Who beats the giant?
I'm glad, like,
Cosby.
battling with the question a little bit because if he'd have kept his winning streak intact after 87, he would be the world champion because he would have beaten Hulk Hogan. So it doesn't really. It's a sense of maybe you wouldn't have given him that match with Hogan, but that match was is arguably the biggest match in WrestleMania history. So you'd have to go along with it.
Okay, so who beats him then, Callum? Who would you put to beat him?
Hogan,
Well, if not Hogan, let's say Hogan can't beat him.
Warrior, or whoever else, or
Oof.
Savage. Whoever else was like the top babyface at the time that you'd want to be as your next like major world champion. It's pretty easy to just choose someone. If Andre at that point, based on like just the media way of saying it, like you say, Rob, he wasn't actually undefeated, but the way that he was presented, he's been undefeated by 22 years or something along those lines. It wouldn't really matter who you had beat him as long as they were over.
Honky Tonk Man.
Because yeah, because at that point, it would be a huge deal regardless of whoever that person was. But I would just say that his health would have been a factor. I think the only point, well, they just gave him the championship for the few minutes that he held it as a ceremonial gesture because of everything he'd done for the company in the past and the fact that Vince McMahon absolutely loved him. But he wouldn't be able to have a significant run with the championship or really hold a decent winning streak after that because he was just so immobile in the ring.
The Giant Fairy, am I right?
If they would have gone with that, it would have been a completely different story. But, maybe they would have done something in the future with somebody like a Big John Studd or something, and who knows. But I think that it worked out the way that it should have.
So what if Andre beats Hogan and DiBiase just pays him off and he never actually gets defeated? And then Hogan has to beat DiBiase. I think people would have been fine with that.
Yeah, that could have worked.
I think that they would have used that to build to another Hogan against Andre match.
But then
WrestleMania 4.
Time Hogan gets him.
Yeah, they would eventually have Hogan. Eventually, Hogan would have beaten Andre because Hogan beats everyone.
Well, if it would have been a different era, they would have had a triple threat at WrestleMania 4. It would have been Ted DiBiase versus Hogan versus Andre.
Fatal 4-Way had Savage in there as well.
Well, no. Why would Savage need to be in there if the story stays the same? You don't need Savage in there. Savage only gets in there because of the tournament.
Yeah, then Savage wins the Intercontinental title or something.
Yeah. I do that a lot with if they just had triple threat matches back then, everything becomes different because that's such an easy cop-out.
Mm-hmm. Then we probably would have had some kind of thing with, instead of having Sergeant Slaughter, we would have had some other kind of a scenario for WrestleMania 7. Instead of having...
Hogan, Warrior, and Savage.
Probably, yeah. It's weird to think about that. Even when it comes to 95 or so, things would have been and this is a random side thing. It has nothing to do with Andre the Giant, but just talking about how things change. I randomly, when I couldn't sleep, because obviously for those who don't know, I'm pretty much an insomniac, and I fell asleep at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and woke up at 2. So I was trying to figure out some way to sleep, and I thought to myself, maybe what will put me to sleep is putting on a WCW pay-per-view. And I randomly put on Bash at the Beach 96. And there's Rey Mysterio versus Psychosis was the first match. And it ends with a top rope Hurricanrana. And Mike Tenay sitting there going, well, we call that a top rope Frankensteiner. And in other markets, it's a Hurricanrana. And people are like, wow, we've never seen that before. And all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, wow, yeah, it's crazy to think. Even in 96, they were like, that weird, random, foreign move, the Hurricanrana. And now it's 90% of the roster does it, including John Cena. It's different, different scenarios. So, yeah.
Changed so quick.
The Andre thing, that's weird to think how certain things can be different. Let's move over to Peter's questions. First one is, will Article 13 affect you? I mean, it's going to affect everybody to a certain extent, but I don't think directly it's going to affect me because it's the EU, so, there's slightly different things when it comes to America, but there's going to be a trickle down, YouTube has certain things that they're going to get in the way with, and I think more than anything, it's going to be this combination of that and net neutrality going away, and just ISPs fucking everybody over the way that they are. We're going to be in a shit situation for a while until I think more democratic type people come in charge.
Yeah, I would just co-sign on what Tony said.
Yeah, I think it's just along those sort of lines, just on the sense that I don't think we're going to be in a pretty good position with regards to any of these regulations until people that understand the internet are in charge. Too many old people that never had to use the internet on a day-to-day basis are making decisions based around that stuff.
They're like, can we tax people on the tubes? There's got to be some kind of tubes, right?
Yeah, so it's just eventually we'll get to a point where people that understand the internet more thoroughly and are more like web savvy will be in those positions of power. And by that point in time, we'll be into a huge virtual reality universe, and then they'll be out of date as well. And so it just keeps going and going and going.
I used to be with it, then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it. It'll happen to you.
Well, pivoting from The Simpsons to Family Guy, what do you think of Family Guy killing off Peter's boss, Angela, voiced by Carrie Fisher? Who's next? Mayor Adam West. I haven't seen Family Guy in years. It makes sense that they would get rid of the character, but I honestly feel a little shitty when they do that because they don't need to kill these characters off necessarily. They can have them just like, for instance, I don't know what happened with Angela on Family Guy. If they did kill her off, like by having, something fall on her or whatever like that, they could have just said like, random episode, Peter has a new boss and he's like, yeah, Angela moved or something, Like, well, if they replace Mayor Adam West, they could just say, like, the newly elected mayor, blah, 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 and not really have to call attention to it. You don't need to kill people off on certain things necessarily all the time.
Well, how did they kill her? Did anyone actually know?
I have no idea.
I could only see, like, just as a quick search on YouTube, and it just, like, has a clip of Peter speaking at Angela's funeral from a week ago. So it's a fairly recent step they decided to take.
Yeah, because I knew she was still on the show, just not being voiced. She was just like a background character for a while. Yeah, it's shitty, but they had to write her off somehow. I just hope that however they killed her wasn't tasteless, even though it's Family Guy, so what can you do?
If you're gonna kill her off, it should be a joke that has something that I think the person that's involved would have laughed at. So maybe, like, if they would have killed her off by having her, like, fly out a spaceship and do, like, a Superman, Mary Poppins type thing or something like that, then yeah. If it's just kind of like, oh, she's dead now, then it seems kind of insensitive to me. I don't know. Oh, wait, we do have a Simpsons question. The Simpsons had on a building in the show Disney Google on it, same as the Fox prediction. I'm calling future prediction. Do you think Disney will buy Google? No. Disney and Google are separate in that Disney wants to control the entertainment side of things more than anything else. And that's why all the ventures that you look under Disney are all, in some fashion, entertainment. They've got the theme parks, which earns them a butt ton of money, and they've got, they got their hands in multiple different types of entertainment, like ESPN and ABC and Hulu now, and a lot of different things like that. Whereas Google is more along the lines of technology, and I could see Google buying out other companies like Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and those kind of things before doing something with Disney. What do you guys think?
I think Google will probably, to steal a phrase from you, merge with all of the other social platforms. But I wouldn't be surprised if Disney does have a piece of that pie.
They're moving on up.
Why are we even kind of discussing that sort of thing in the sense that Google is the third richest company in the world? They're going to buy Disney before Disney buys them.
Well, either way, it's going to be Google Disney somehow.
I'd be surprised in the sense that, like I said, I could see Google trying to buy out a lot of like social media platforms or things along those lines, especially because Google Plus is a broken piece of shit that they've decided to get rid of because they realised how much of a broken piece of shit it is.
It was broken from the start. That was awful.
Yeah. And
what was that other one they had? It was like it started with an O. It's really shit.
Well,
I can't
was
remember.
it? Did they own Uvu?
No, it wasn't Uvu. Uvu wasn't. That didn't go anywhere either. The Orchid.
Oh yes.
So they might decide to try and buy one that's actually proven to be successful and try and run it from there. But I just think that they don't really need to get into entertaining with Disney, and if they did, I don't think Disney would sell to them. They'd probably just buy something which is a bit lower rent.
Yeah, I think that if Google started buying other kinds of companies outright like that, they'd head towards more Warner Brothers than Disney. But I don't think that's happening either.
I don't want Google in control of that, man.
At some point, Disney's going to buy that. Let's see. What do you think of Disney going ham with movies next year? Captain Marvel, Avengers 4, Aladdin, Toy Story 4, Lion King, Frozen 2, Star Wars Episode 9, etc., etc., etc. I already, because this is the end of the year time where I have to do tons of extraneous shit, which includes things like I have to do the 6 Flicks picks for not just January, but the 6 Flicks picks for the entire 2019. And when I do that, I go through the list of every movie that's supposed to be coming out for the next year, and I write that down on Evernote. I use Evernote for a lot of different things. And I actually plan out, like, oh man, I got to remember that I want to watch this movie at this time of the year, and this movie on this day, and that kind of a thing, because I like my lists, and it keeps me organized and stuff. And when I went through the list of movies that are coming out in 2019, I was just like, wow, yeah, Disney. It was just kind of like, I think the majority of my 6 Flicks picks are all Disney movies, because it's like Spider-Man Far From Home. That's technically like a Sony type thing, but it's the MCU. MCU's got Avengers 4, Endgame. Captain Marvel. They've got Aladdin, Toy Story 4, The Lion King. Technically speaking, they are going to be releasing the New Mutants and Dark Phoenix, and even though those are going to suck, they're still 2 that I'm going to be seeing and stuff, and they are really just going to make a shit ton of money in 2019. And I wouldn't be shocked if they had that kind of planned out because of the Fox merger, where they were just sort of like, you know what? Okay, we'll spend however many billions of dollars, but in 2019, Frozen 2 is going to make tons of money. Lion King's going to make bank. Star Wars, maybe not so much anymore, but fuck, we got 3 Avengers movies. Like, of course that's going to make money. Like, they're going to do very well.
So which are you most excited for then?
I mean, to spoil what it is an obvious thing, the number 1 on my 6 Flicks picks is Avengers Endgame. Number 2 is Lion King, actually.
Really?
More so than Spider-Man and the other ones, yeah. Because the Lion King one got, when I watched that trailer, I was just like, "Holy shit, this looks good!" Like, you didn't need to do anything other than show me the exact same trailer that what they had done for the Lion King before, and just in like quote unquote live action. And I'm like, yeah, all right. I pity the people that are going to be watching for the first time and don't know what's coming with Mufasa.
Yeah. People who watch it regularly now and still can't help themselves from getting emotional. I really want to see Toy Story. I'm not gonna lie, that's probably the number 1 movie I'm looking forward to next year, and probably right behind that, Lion King and then Aladdin.
Oh, let's put it this way: my 3 favorite animated films of all time are Aladdin, Toy Story, and The Lion King. So I'm getting all 3 next year. I don't even know what number 4 would be because I like those 3 that much better than the other ones. And that's like, all right, that's what you're going to go with? Cool.
Yeah, Disney have just been on fire. There's really not much to say too much about the fact of most of those movies are going to be decent. Some of them may or may not be, but they're just churning out loads of movies because they've got so many like smaller brands attached to them now. Like Pixar will always churn stuff out, Marvel will always churn stuff out, Star Wars as well. So it's like all of these movies that used to be part of like different entities are now just all under the Disney umbrella. they can put out more stuff.
Real quick, since we're on the topic of movies, how do you guys feel about the Sonic movie?
What the fuck is that? Why does he have human arms and legs? And human hands? Like, this is... I honestly thought it was a fake poster. I thought that it was some cosplay type thing. And I'm really nervous that this is going to look really stupid.
It just makes me think that they probably should have just stopped at Sonic 2. And just killed the franchise there and then.
What? Well,
I mean,
Knuckles is awesome.
The video games have sucked since, what? Maybe Adventure 2 or Heroes?
Since Sonic and Knuckles.
That's a good decade. Plus, there are people like that who don't even like any of the 3D Sonic games. Now we have this. So yeah, it's painful. Kind of wish he would have died with Sega.
I just don't know why they didn't go with some kind of CGI type thing like Wreck-It Ralph. They could have done a Sonic the Hedgehog movie a lot better, I think. And I mean, it might be good. It's not going to be, but it might be.
That's been done before, Tony.
Yeah, well, now they're going with like some weird hybrid Detective Pikachu, humanoid Super Mario Brothers type thing, and we'll see. I'll probably watch it in theaters, but we'll see. Peter asks, Nightmare Before Christmas, Halloween or Christmas movie?
It's both. It's also just, at this point, for me, associated with emo girls and Hot Topic. So, like, I don't know. Like, that franchise to me, I know so many people who love it, but it's kind of soiled for me. So, you know, whatever. It's a good movie.
I totally get it because... I mean, when I think of Nightmare Before Christmas, there's 3 girls that pop into my mind, and they all are like that Hot Topic emo type crowd thing. And it's never been a movie that I've loved. It's a Christmas movie in my book more than a Halloween movie, but it's like it didn't hit me in the gut when I was a kid, so I don't have that nostalgia memory kind of attached to it. So it's not my go-to Christmas movie. Or anything.
Unpopular opinion. I think The Corpse Bride is better.
Didn't see it. Or Frankenweenie. They're the same thing, right? They're like the same franchise? Or is it just like the look?
They're all Tim Burton, aren't they?
Like a spinoff or something?
Is it? No, they're not spin-offs, but they're all by Tim Burton. Did he do Frankenweenie or Paranorman? I always forgot.
He could have done both.
Maybe.
Maybe he did Frank and Norman or Paraweenie.
That's like the new sequels.
Callum, you like The Nightmare Before Christmas?
As far as I can recall, I've never seen The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Woo!
So I can't state whether it's a Halloween or Christmas movie because if I have seen it, I cannot recall anything from it.
I'll tell you one thing, it's definitely not an Easter film.
Well, this is why they listen to the podcast. You got that clarification down pat.
Just in case you've been worrying for 26 years or whatever the fuck that's
don't watch it around Easter time. You're just going to feel weird.
Now, he also asks, what is your must-watch movie for Christmas? Grandma Got Run Over by Reindeer is his pick. I'm going to sort of merge this a little bit with one of Frankie's questions later on that I eliminated from the list, which was, what's your favorite Christmas movie? So, here's my yearly tradition is I watch Home Alone and Home Alone 2 back to back while eating pizza. Because there's no way I'm watching those 2 movies and not wanting to eat pizza. And if I'm still in the mood to watch another Christmas movie, it's usually Bad Santa. Not a big fan of not a big fan. I absolutely hate the claymation stuff. We did one year for Fanboys. We had our 4-reel movie club, and Dace's pick for one of the Christmas movies was the thing with Heat Miser and all that. And I really hated that.
You're gonna hate my answer then.
Oh, is it that?
Yep, The Year Without a Santa Claus, specifically for Heat Miser and Snow Miser and the songs. I love it every year. That's what I look forward to most on Christmas. Outside of that, I would say I grew up in the 90s, so I'm a Nickelodeon kid, and Hey Arnold's Christmas is still one of the better, like, child Christmas specials to watch.
Oh, there's quite a few to choose from for me. If we're going like a kids cartoon based one, then I really like the Ed, Edd and Eddie Christmas movie.
Oh, yes.
I always thought that was a good one. Home Alone and Home Alone 2 are just classics. I guess like as a guilty pleasure, I like Jim Carrey's The Grinch.
Fuck yeah.
I think that's a good movie.
Never seen it.
I would watch it just for like the Jim Carrey side of things, but it's a little over the top and it's a little creepy, and it's definitely not what Dr. Seuss would have liked. But fuck it, it's Jim Carrey when he wasn't now Jim Carrey, so it's kind of okay. Jingle All the Way, Schwarzenegger, just a...
Put that cookie down.
But I think my number one would be Muppet Christmas Carol.
That's a great one. Yeah, I haven't watched that movie in a bunch of years, but I remember watching that a lot as a kid. That little rabbit was like so adorable. I forget the name of it. The one that was singing the Christmas carols the whole time.
I'm trying to recall it. Like, I haven't seen it in a little while because obviously Christmas isn't here just yet. So
when I was in high school, we went to go see. It was part of this like extracurricular kind of thing where we went to a couple different plays and stuff like that, and we got to see like this local Christmas carol thing, and the whole time I'm sitting there going, God damn it, why don't they just start singing We're Marley and Marley and shit like that?
You've never seen the Jim Carrey Grinch, Tony?
No. Never been a big Grinch fan.
I actually quite like the was it just called A Christmas Carol? Just like the CGI version of it that Jim Carrey did as well.
Yeah,
I quite like that as well.
What do you guys think about? Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say it was a bit more like artistic and a bit more like melancholy than the Muppet Christmas one, but it was still good.
What do you guys think of It's a Wonderful Life?
Love it.
I've never seen it.
I didn't watch that up until we did the 4 Real Movie Club for that. And I honestly thought that I would hate it, and I liked it more than I thought I was going to, but I've never had the urge to watch it since then, and it's been at least like 3 years since we had done that. It's just kind of one of those things like Citizen Kane, where as soon as I got done watching it, I was like, okay, I get it, but it's not necessarily a thing that I want to revisit. Especially because there was like that whole part where they're dancing in the gymnasium and whatever, and it's really stupid. But I understand why it became such this like iconic thing. It's just a little bit hokey for me. The whole like, oh Zuzu, oh like, oh it's in Fred's house and shit. Like
one last question on this topic then before we move on: is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not?
I wanted to ask that, damn it.
No, in my mind, it's not a Christmas movie.
It doesn't have anything to do with Christmas. The only thing based around it is the fact that it's set on Christmas Eve. So it's not a Christmas movie.
I look at this as, if you say Die Hard is a Christmas movie, you have to say Iron Man 3 is a Christmas movie. And that is not a Christmas movie to me.
Well, I've seen some people like say that Harry Potter movies are Christmas movies because Christmas happens during the school year.
Come on. Not at all.
Freeform seems to follow that theme because they always do the one day of all the Harry Potters during the 25 days of Christmas.
Well, for some reason, and I really never quite understood the idea, I think it was TBS for years would always do the James Bond marathon on Thanksgiving. And I was just sort of like, yeah, I'm kind of sure that there's no scene in like You Only Live Twice or something where he's sitting there eating turkey. I watched all the movies enough. The closest thing to it is On Her Majesty's Secret Service is around Christmas at a certain point. That movie sucks. And that's not a Christmas movie either.
They still do the thing where they show A Christmas Story all day long on TNT or TBS, right?
I do not like that movie. I know everybody loves that. I hated it when I saw it. Not my thing.
Go shoot your eye out, kid.
Let's see. Peter says, what's your big gift you want this year? Mine is the Switch for Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu. I don't have a big gift actually, because what I kind of do the same thing every year when people go, "So what do you want for Christmas?" I'm like, a time machine, sleep, money, good luck. It's just intangibles and stuff. There's not like really a big thing that I would need that I think people would ever get me.
I want to get you a year's supply of ZQL and just a funnel to go along with it, so you can just sleep for once.
By the way, I tried ZQL about a year ago. Didn't work.
You need to get checked out because it works fine for me. For me, I would at this point I just really want money. I got a Switch. I don't really. I am 25 at this point, so I don't really have like anything that I must have. So if anyone wanted to get me anything, I'd be like, you could just give me money. Or I did ask for a book from somebody, and they're going to get me that book. And yeah, I'm a simple person. Just want to pay my bills. Callum?
I was thinking about it like just recently because I don't usually just ask people for what I want for Christmas. I just usually wait and see what I get. So I thought, what's the one thing that I'm missing right now that I could potentially have that would be useful? And I thought, I really need a dressing gown. I don't own a dressing gown at the moment, and it's cold, and and it's just when you wake up in the morning, it's just like freezing, and you just want to put something over you.
You're gonna have to elaborate because I think.
Oh, you don't know what a dressing gown is?
I'm assuming it's like typical like sleepwear,
shirt. Like a night shirt.
Well, it's like one of those like a bathrobe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's we call it dressing gowns here because it's our language. We can do what the fuck we want with it. So.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When you first said that, I was thinking like wedding gown type thing, and then I'm like, nah, he's talking about sleepwear. Okay, I got it.
A wedding dress wouldn't go. So they're quite warm.
Hell, for that matter, I could use a new suit. There's something. I don't know what fucking size I am though. That could be a big thing. If somebody wants to give me that.
I like your hat.
I would like to be one of those people that can do that whole thing where you add an Amazon wish list and then post it on your Twitter, and then poor saps buy you stuff. Like,
I would love that.
I guess I need a pair of boobs and what's the cam site? I don't know, some kind of cam site thing.
Just the one. There's just one cam site out there.
Whatever the most popular one. I don't know.
Tony, does Caroline actually listen to these, or would you feel comfortable saying what you got her for Christmas?
Oh, she's not gonna listen to it. I had gotten her. She better not listen to it. Sweetie, if you're listening to this, stop it. I got her. Her favorite movie is Rosemary's Baby, and I've never seen the movie, but apparently there's a part in the movie where somebody has something called a tannis root necklace, and I got her a like replica of that. So she'll like that.
Very sentimental.
Badass. Good job, Tony. Yeah.
I'm good at gifts. I go for the target of especially when it comes to like Caroline. How can I make her cry? That kind of thing. Same thing with picking out cards. It's like, that one's okay. That one's okay. Oh, that one will make her bawl. All right, let's go with that one. Yeah. I know that I ruined her gift for me because she had to return it. She's like, I'm returning my gift for you. And I'm like, well, why? What's wrong with it? And she's like, well, I bought you a coat and you just bought one the other day. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I have like 8 coats, but I bought an extra one. So.
Caroline, if you're listening, he needs a suit. So
there you go. You got 8 days before I'm up there. We'll figure it out. Let's see. What's Peter's next question here? Actually, I'm gonna toss a question to Peter. You said you're looking for a Switch and Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu. You're getting both, or you're getting just one of them in particular? Drop a comment. Let me know.
I got both.
You got both?
Yeah.
It said that you were gonna get one. I thought you were gonna go with Pikachu, but you went with Eevee too.
I played the whole of Let's Go Pikachu, and then obviously because Pokemon is brilliant business minds, but awful human beings, they decided to do the traditional thing of you can only catch certain Pokemon to certain games. So They managed to suck me into get Eevee as well, so I could catch the old Pokemon.
Did you get Smash Brothers?
Yes, I got Smash as well.
I like it.
You don't like it?
I thought it's really good, but I think that past games have had a little more structure as to how you unlock people, and
That's
this
true.
game just kind of randomly threw them at you, and I didn't like that. But it's a fun game, and it's always Smash, so it's always good.
But is it ultimate?
Everybody is in that game. It's pretty ultimate, actually. When you get the full roster, you're just like, wow.
I don't think it's ultimate. I don't think it's ultimate until you get Waluigi in there.
Well,
Until then.
yeah, and I'm pissed off about that, but
That's got to be
hopefully they do
DLC,
something-
right?
Yeah, hopefully they bring him in with the DLC. I have a feeling he's the last DLC member, but hopefully.
Kind of curious why either Proto Man or Zero isn't on there too. I thought they would have added another Mega Man type character.
Maybe DLC, because that seems like an easy add to me. Just put him as an Echo Fighter.
Reskinned kind of Mega Man thing or something.
Yep.
One thing with the Smash franchise that just gets under my skin a little bit, as like a non-gamer, is I can't keep track of what games are what, because it's like, well, this one's Brawl and this one's Melee and this one's Ultimate and whatever, and there's no like, it's a lot easier for me to keep track of something like, well, it's Super Mario 64. Yeah, that was the N64. Super Mario World was the Super Nintendo, so on and so forth. And it's like, all right, well, this is Ultimate. Well, Ultimate could have easily been the Wii U one, you know?
Well, no, because the Wii U is actually legitimately just called Super Smash Brothers Wii U.
What was the Wii one?
Brawl.
Yeah, see, I would have thought that would have been Melee. So Melee was GameCube?
Melee was GameCube, yes.
Say, confusing. So it could have been Super Switch Brothers.
For a non-gamer.
yeah, for everybody else, we're fine.
I'm sure everybody else, especially like everybody at the end of the or not the end, but when we do the marathon with the Daystacular Gaming for a Cause, we always do the Smash tournament, and some of my friends are like hardcore into Super Smash Brothers. So if you're Greg or Vince Ciaffredoni, then you have no problem at all. But for me, I'm just sort of like, yeah, it's the Super Smash for whatever, and I'll be Kirby. The end.
Are you always Kirby?
That's the only one that I can ever seem to get any kind of button mashing going on with. And I like Kirby. Kirby's one of my favorite characters from video games. So, although last year I knew that I was going to suck so bad that at the tournament I said specifically I wrote down, because we were all picking characters ahead of time, I was like, give me the worst. Give me the actual worst character. And I don't remember who I had. I either had like Rob the Robot or something else that was something weird like that. And of course I, lost, but knew that was coming. You got people that are bringing their own controllers, and I'm like, it is up jump. Yeah, kind of a thing.
Yeah, you had stepped up, Tony.
Wouldn't that be great if I just kind of like practiced this whole time, and then it was like next thing, which I think is March like 9th or something like that. We're going to do that. Then I'm just sort of kicking everybody's ass. And I'm Marth or something. That's a person, right? Marth?
Marth, yes.
Why did you say that name? Let's see. Let's go with, what was the hardest celebrity death this year for you? Out of the 15 wrestlers as of this writing that have passed, who was the hardest to see go? I would have to say Bruno and Jim are, for me, wrestling-wise. Well, question overall, celebrity, Stan Lee, for me.
Mm-hmm.
That was just like, damn, I knew it was coming, but kind of hoped that it wouldn't come, at least until after Endgame, because that'd be pretty fitting. But spoiler for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which people should go see. That was actually really good, unless you have fucking headaches when it comes to the art style. Stan Lee has a cameo in that, and it was like, that was nice to see. Just kind of one of those things where it's like, Stan Lee's going to live on, Wrestler-wise, maybe Vader was probably maybe the hardest for me. But I gotta be honest, when it comes to celebrities, I tend not to get too bent out of shape because I didn't know them personally. So when usually people are posting things on Facebook and everything about like, my childhood died today because David Bowie died or something, I'm like, well, that sucks for like his friends and his family and his fans, but I'm not going to be like, weeping for the most part. Same when it comes to somebody like Vader. Like, I liked Vader. That sucks that he died, but I wasn't like, my year's ruined kind of a thing. No personal connection. How do you guys feel?
For me, hardest celebrity death, like you said, Stan Lee. Vader by far was the hardest wrestler death because he's one of the first people that I actually grew up watching and had like the action figure of. So when he died, that one hit close to home.
I think obviously the overall celebrity death, Stan Lee, was just like the big figure for the year for me. That just somebody who had this hard-reaching impact on stuff that I'd watched and been entertained by. But I'd also say like Vern Troyer as well, just because I was a big fan of the Austin Powers series. So
I love Austin Powers. I had forgotten that was this year that Mini-Me died. Yeah, that sucks.
And he'd been on a few things on like British TV as well, and so I thought it was just a funny dude. Wrestler-wise, I'd probably go like I think Bruno's one was the most significant, but in terms of like just the one that would kind of hit me hard just for the story surrounding it, probably Matt Capitelli. Just because he died of brain cancer, like had a second bout of brain cancer, and he never even really got his shot in WWE because he was diagnosed with it so young, and he's had to kind of just been battling it all of his life. So that was probably the real like. With Bruno, it's kind of a case of, well, he's been around for so many years. He was going to pass away eventually. Obviously, Vader still had a good 60 years and stuff like that. So it's still not great, but they still had their time and they still made a name for themselves. Whereas he never really stood a chance. So yeah. Go Capitelli.
And Excelsior Stanley, am I right?
At least for the true believers.
I was gonna say I think Tony fell asleep.
Nah, I'm still here. I'm actually wide awake.
Wrestling death of the year after that.
What, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just like fell over.
Nobody would end up hearing this episode because nobody would edit it. And then Caroline wouldn't know what I got her for Christmas. That's how you avoid it.
Coffin.
And that's the reason for the new suit. Oh, got it.
Yeah, there you go. It all comes full circle. Especially because I had gotten her a ring box that was in the shape of a coffin last year. Because she likes creepy stuff like that. So it's like, how do I top the coffin gift from last year? Well, casket match. So let's go with all the wrestlers' deaths this year, do you think that Bam Bam Bigelow is still holding on to the posthumous spot for the Hall of Fame? Yeah, I think so, because it's the New York, New Jersey type thing. Bam Bam was, the New Jersey connection. I could see them giving that spot to Vader or Neidhart. And if they had the Owen Hart situation set up, this would have been a great time for them to do Neidhart, Dynamite Kid, Owen Hart, British Bulldog, and have Brett and Natalya induct them, but that's not going to happen because of the Owen Hart thing. So if it's not Bam Bam, I think it's Vader or Neidhart, but I think that they're going to go Bam Bam still.
Do they only do one a year for the posthumous inductions?
Yeah,
not if you count the Legacy Award.
Yeah, they don't like to advertise the fact that wrestlers usually die young, so they try and avoid going with too many posthumous deaths at a time, too many posthumous inductions at a time.
So I think Bam Bam will get one, but I'm not sure yet about the Bulldogs possibly going in as the tag team induction.
I was going to say, it sounded like you were pulling for the Bulldogs there.
Yeah, with the Bulldog in the background. I do think that the Bulldogs will go in this year. And I said this on the WrestleZone Daily, and the host, Kevin Callum, was like, it's not right to say that. But I said, I think they were waiting for Dynamite to die. before they inducted the Bulldogs because they like for the Hall of Fame to be a spectacle, and it's a hard thing to have to say, hey, look at this guy, he's bound to a wheelchair and can barely open his eyes. Like, that's not
Who does the induction speech?
Brett.
Brett does it, and what Harry Smith accepts on
Yeah,
their behalf.
absolutely, absolutely.
Maybe Harry Smith and Tyson Kidd together.
I mean, part of me thinks that you might be better off just leaving the Bulldogs out of the Hall of Fame because the stories surrounding both of them are so awful and tragic that it's kind of hard to get any. And it's I know it's there to kind of just celebrate their wrestling legacy, but they're just like Dynamite Kid was such an awful person, and British Bulldog like destroyed his body multiple times over. It will come across more sad than like reverence really for them.
That's not going to matter. They still have Jimmy Snuka in.
Yeah, but that was before like the widespread people knew about all of that stuff. I mean, people knew about it, but you know, it was easy to hide.
Yeah, they were controlling the narrative better back then.
Nowadays, I wouldn't say the majority, but a large portion of like in the know wrestling fans know all of the stuff that happened with Dynamite Kid and British Bulldog.
They did pay tribute to him, so I think it's not out of the question.
I wouldn't say it's out of the question. It's just they have to be careful about it.
What about if they just throw him in as Legacy Award?
They could.
Yeah, they
just kind of sweep it under the rug.
You just throw both the tag team in. They might have to wait a few years to do that, but because Legacy Awards they usually give to people that were wrestling in the 50s and 60s and stuff like that, so they might have to wait a little while before they can put someone in who was wrestling in the 80s and 90s in there.
Spoiler alert, my pick for tag team is actually Demolition. I'm thinking they get it this year.
They do seem to be mending a lot of fences, so it seems like every year there's one person that it's kind of like, can you come back and be welcomed before something happens to you, kind of a thing. So maybe. Peter asks, what do we think of Detective Pikachu's look? I kind of agree with him. It's a little bit creepy. We were talking about this with the whole Sonic the Hedgehog type thing. It's weird to see like a photorealistic version of that, and the hair and fur type stuff is creepy, but Pikachu looks a lot better than Mr. Mime does. Holy shit, does Mr. Mime look scary.
Well, that's the point. Mr. Mime in the game looks creepy, and so if he looks creepy in the game and most of them look most of the Pokemon look cute, then in this version where all of them kind of look creepy, he would have to be extra creepy. But I quite like the style, and maybe that's just because I'm obviously like in my 20s now and stuff like that, so I'm not going to be that creeped out by it as a kid. But I think it's quite cool. It's an interesting like interpretation of it.
I've never seen a game to movie adaptation so fast. I mean, know. What?
I think it's very strange that we're getting a live action Pokemon movie and it's Detective Pikachu out of all things. Like that, it's almost to me like if you were to pitch to me, all right, we're finally going to do a Super Mario Brothers movie if they wouldn't have done it before, and it's going to revolve around treasure hunting Toad, where it would have been like, that's the thing you're going to go with? Like what? Like Detective Pikachu? When they first announced this, I was like, this is absurd. And then I watched the trailer and I'm like, why the fuck am I going to watch this? I'm going to watch this. Like, this doesn't look that bad. This is weird. Like, but what? How am I more excited about Detective Pikachu on my 6 Flicks picks for the year than I am the 2 X-Men movies that are coming out? What the fuck happened?
Pokemon it gets a hold on you.
I like the style. I think it'll be a much better movie than the Sonic movie. It's always weird when they try to do the CGI in the real world thing. I never liked the Scooby-Doo movies for that reason. But this looks like it'll be fun.
It's got Ryan Reynolds in it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be funny. Like, Ryan Reynolds as a Pikachu is going to be hilarious.
It'd be great if there's some Deadpool jokes in there.
Oh, there will be. I'm sure at least one.
You know what? This is not a question on there, but we might not talk about Detective Pikachu again on here, so why not? if you had to say that there's one Pokemon you really, really want them to put in that movie, who is it that you're like, they have to do this and I need to see the live action version of that?
I'd say just like it's a personal thing because my favorite Pokemon is Totodile, and so I'd always like to just envisage what a real Totodile would look like, just so I could see like, oh my god, if I had a pet Totodile, that would be what it looked like. So I'd want to see whether it would crush my spirits by being like so much worse than it is in the game, or it would just, or I'd see it and just go, okay, I just have to build this because I need it.
I think I remember seeing her in the trailer, but Jigglypuff's in the movie, right?
Jigglypuff has to be.
You'd have to imagine that most of, if not all of the first generation of Pokemon will be in the movie. Maybe
although I don't think that they're gonna go out of their way to be like, we need to make sure that Parasect is in this. Like, you know what I mean?
No, they will, because like it's just a case of it doesn't have to have a prominent part, but it will be in the background somewhere.
Just walking around in the middle of a field or something like that.
It's only 150 Pokemon. It doesn't like you can get like 10 of them into one shot at a time or whatever. So they just won't go into so much effort in designing them, but I'm sure they will.
I'm really curious what Mewtwo looks like. Like if that's like just particularly like weird and creepy and kind of like nightmarish.
The ghost Pokemon would look quite interesting.
Yeah, fucking Haunter. That'd be cool.
Psyduck in the movie?
It has to be.
Yeah, I assume if not all of the first generation will be the iconic ones from the anime will have a feature role in it.
There needs to be a part where the main character is trying to walk down like an alley or something, and he can't because there's a giant Snorlax in his way. That needs to happen.
I'd love to see like just loads of graffiti on a wall somewhere, and then it's just a load of unknowns.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. I like that.
That'd be awesome. What about you mentioned Snorlax, like Snorlax in the gutter, like just like a sleeping, almost drunk kind of.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, go for personality, something like that. Let's see, like a real hospital with Chansey just moving around the place constantly, less of the nurses.
You can do a lot with a Ditto.
If this is really successful, what they need to do is do some kind of like holiday theme thing, and they need Delibird. I like Delibird.
You must be the only person.
Delibird's awesome. It's a fucking Santa Claus thing. Like, I don't even really like the Santa Claus gimmick all that much. Like for Christmas itself, like, you know, I'm not like, oh, like Santa Claus decorations are great or anything like that. But it's like when Gold and Silver came out, and I'm like, they legit have a penguin Santa Claus that gives presents. All right, fuck it. This is some fever dream that somebody pitched this, and they went along with it, and they were like, I don't know, delivery bird, Delibird. It's like,
well, I also have to imagine that, like in a real world situation with Pokemon, it must feel really bad to be a Trubbish.
Literal garbage.
Yeah.
Well, that's something that has to be in the background too. Somebody needs to be walking around, and has to be a garbage can with Trubbish in it. Or what's the other one? Garbageur or something like that.
I try and forget that generation for the most part.
And somebody needs to be eating the vanilla ice cream one.
Oh, I can't remember. Again, just like I kind of just like as soon as it goes past Generation 2, the names just become. I know what the Pokemon look like, I just have no idea what they're called.
I mean, I used to be able to know all of them by heart, and then you got past Generation 2, and then it was just like, all right, now you're just kind of like Moth number 12 and shit.
Do you think we see any like coughing, wheezing, or muck? You know, just like the really grimy kind of Pokemon.
Again, they'll either be in the background or they'll. I could imagine a muck getting a pretty prominent place in the movie.
Just mucking around. That made me laugh. I don't care. Why do you think WWE doesn't try during the football season? They tried in football season when WCW was fighting them, but we all know now they give up during football season.
Well, they were fighting WCW at that point.
Yeah, I don't think that they try at all anymore. It's not that it's football season; they just don't try. Period.
Well, yeah, but it's just the football season gives them the excuse why ratings are low. because of course we're not going to be able to compete with football, and they've never been able to compete with football. I think maybe one episode of Raw in the past overtook like a football match that took place, but for the most part, football would always be doing in the 10 to 15 million range, and WWE in incentive was doing no more than 8 or 9 million, which is still great, but they've never ever been able to compete with football.
And really, it's a niche product. They're not supposed to be able to compete with football. They did do halftime heat. You know, I wish they had that kind of confidence in their product again.
I'd watch halftime heat again.
Well, yeah, but you don't care about football.
Yeah, true. Although I'll watch some XFL, I'm sure.
Well, it's the point. Like, not everyone that watches the Super Bowl likes football. They're there for the halftime show.
Yeah, a lot of people watch it for that specifically.
So I'd be fine with, like, I don't know, Braun Strowman and Lars Sullivan, if they're going to their feud, having a halftime like brawl on the pitch while Ariana Grande is singing behind them or whatever.
I think the bigger issue here is as long as they have an excuse, they don't try. And a lot of times we see that the excuse is something built in. Like they're kind of like, well, we got a lot going on building to WrestleMania, so that's why the mid-card doesn't get a whole lot of attention. And then WrestleMania happens, and then they go, well, we just spent all this time building the WrestleMania. We need a little bit of a break. And we've got the Superstar Shakeup, so that'll be our, like, you know, we'll figure it out. And then it becomes, well, we just did the Superstar Shakeup, so we have to figure out the roster. And then it's, well, we're building towards SummerSlam, so SummerSlam is when things will really start picking up. And then it goes, well, we just did the whole SummerSlam thing. Now we're in the post-SummerSlam turn down. And then now we're in, like, December where it's, well, now it's Christmas, so we don't want to fucking work. And then you're like, wait, so you just did an excuse for the entire year. And then they go, yeah, but WrestleMania is coming around. And then you go, you're going to run into the same fucking problem again. And the cycle repeats itself. And that's why Vince McMahon's apology doesn't mean anything.
and Tony's brain just had complete diarrhea all over that situation.
Yeah, but he was correct. So.
He was absolutely on point. But it's just amazing how, you know, we've been through this so much that you can just, you know what's coming.
Yeah. And that's sad. Do you think that Bray Wyatt could be Sanity's leader and rejuvenate them? I really hope not. I want a totally different Bray Wyatt. I don't want the cult leader, mystical kind of thing anymore. I'm hoping that his most recent tweets where he said stuff like, I've never been a god and I need to change who I am and all this. I hope that he comes back as something completely different. Even if it's something crazy like the whole Brodus Clay thing, I'd even be fine with silly, stupid Bray Wyatt as opposed to the same Bray Wyatt that we've gotten for all these years that I'm supposed to take seriously, but he never will be.
I certainly don't want to see him switch to just being, hey guys, I'm Wyndham Rotundo. Yeah, I'm a second, third generation wrestler. Yeah, I want to see that. I'd rather see them try with the Bray Wyatt gimmick than see him just become another generic wrestler.
Husky Dallas.
Please stop.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Tony. It's just you don't need to carry on with the old Bray Wyatt character anymore. In the sense of like maybe they didn't give him the best run with that gimmick, but I don't think they gave him any worse of a run than like anybody else that's been given gimmicks in the past and stuff like that. And it's time to freshen things up. It hasn't worked. And
so what you're saying is you want Husky Dallas?
I'd rather that than Bray Wyatt at this point.
Really? Wow.
It's just if they did the Bray Wyatt character properly, but about that ship sailed 2 years ago. Like if they'd done it at that point, then yeah, maybe. But now it's the point of, well, what's the point of Bray Wyatt now? Just have him come back as just like a tanky babyface. That just
a tank and a Ferrari babyface.
Yeah,
kind of like that. But just he doesn't have to. He can take elements of both characters. To maybe just a Bray Wyatt that looks like Bray Wyatt, just a little less dishevelled. And just, I don't know, maybe, I wouldn't go down the road, maybe it's like finding God or something, because that can always lead to some sort of controversy. But someone who's just found a new lease on life and is wanting to embrace the fans and embrace his humanity, because he's always thought that he was a god. He's now coming back to just being a normal guy, and he's loving the fact that he can just feel again and feel the people and stuff like that.
Well, then at this point, I'd rather them just revert him to Husky and say, you know, like the Bray Wyatt character was a sickness, and almost like a Dusty Rhodes type babyface, where it's like, yeah, I'm a man of the people now because I got that sickness out of me, and you know, I'm not a common man. Don't go that far with it, but you know, he's just a tanky babyface, like Callum said. I like that word.
He's just a husky man. If they do that, I'll laugh. Fuck it. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
If they do the sanity thing, it's just going to be a lot of the same thing, and it'll take away from sanity because then it'll just be the Wyatt family again. And sanity's not really doing all that much right now anyway, so they can't really afford to just lose their identity, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Another question for Peter: if you don't have the channel for Impact Wrestling like myself and could get it when they change channels, will you watch? No. No, I still don't want to watch.
I've tried. I desperately tried to watch Impact. It's such a terrible program, and like it's not the terrible in the sense that, you know, the old TNA where nothing made any sense and Russo was writing for them and it was all just a load of bullshit car crash television that was the death of Nitro and almost the death of Raw at some points as well. But it's really boring and there's no star power, even with people like Johnny Nitro and Johnny Impact, should I say, on there, and like Tessa Blanchard's cool and all, but there really is a dearth, should I say, not depth, dearth of star power, and the crowds are awful, the production quality's not very good, the commentary's not good. It's an overall poor wrestling promotion.
Once upon a time, I was slated to cover Impact for Smark Out Moment. I got through half of an episode and was so burned out I didn't write for Tony again for another 4 years. It's my job with WrestleZone to cover certain things for them. Like I will be covering their Homecoming pay-per-view on January 6th. They do good with the pay-per-views, but the television product itself is so dull. Like, even when the wrestling is good, the people don't care. You know, it just comes across like this flat product. And God, I really wish WWE would just buy them and their library. Then that is one that I will say WWE needs to take.
Yeah, it would be easier to just mercy kill them. Pull the plug.
Yeah, either WWE buys them or they merge with All Elite Wrestling and All Elite takes the name, because just kill any semblance of Impact Wrestling, TNA, whatever stuff you call it. It's a damaged brand.
Yeah, it is. And there's no, at this point, we've had like 7 different people that have been in charge or whatever. Nobody's going to figure out the formula. They're done. And it's just, they'll drag on and be some low rent kind of third, fourth option kind of a thing.
They're the worst kind of independent promotion in the think that they think that they're not an independent promotion, and they're so an independent promotion.
Well, I think they've had to kind of tuck their tail between their legs and admit that they are an independent promotion. And I really think what hurts them the most is that they cling to this legacy of the TNA days when they were actually competitive. And if you look at them now and what they have to do now, it hurts. It hurts me as a fan of the product. You know, and I'm not trying to say, oh, I want them to go out of business because I don't care about the people that are working there. They have great talent there and they're trying to do great things. But it never comes off right. You know what I mean? Never. I've never seen them once just pull off an entire event without a hitch.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. Last one from Peter. He says, if you were a wrestler, where would you want to wrestle? He wrestled in 2009 to 2011, and he always thought the X Division and Impact was the way to go. I would say, of course, in this theoretical scenario where I was in the slightest bit athletic enough to be a wrestler and 1 and 2 and all that other kind of stuff, I would say NXT, because I'm not a big fan of traveling all that much. So I wouldn't love the whole, like, constantly on the road thing. And I'm not the biggest fan of Florida, but at the same time, there's certain parts of the NXT culture that I could see myself really loving. Like, you have a home base, you get to really connect with a lot of the people that you were in, like, that NXT class with. A lot of people room together in the same apartment type of complex, or just the sheer fact that they're around each other all the time and they live in the same town, they've just become really close. I actually really love, and this is a stupid kind of thing, but the Full Sail, like, area around the whole thing, like that, the plants and just the, stage and everything like that looks like a Disney kind of attraction to me. So it almost feels like it would be like a vacation, I guess. So I'd go NXT. You got a lot more creative freedom. You don't have to work as many nights. Don't get burned out. I'd definitely go NXT.
So I would, mostly because, again, assuming that I was, physically fit and able and ready to do all that stuff, I would also go NXT because I already live here. And, Full Sail's about a 2-hour ride, and it's all the fun of working an independent with that, like, WWE shine on it. But I would also give a nod to promotions like, I would want to do one PWG show and wrestle for Ring of Honor in the Hammerstein Ballroom at least once. There's little things like that, but overall, as a promotion, NXT.
I'd love to wrestle for PWG. I think their fan base is just incredible. Their shows they put on, like, every year and stuff is so entertaining. I would have to, at some point, if I was wrestler again, no sort of physical shape whatsoever, and this might kill me, I couldn't not go without wrestling in New Japan at some point. It's just it's what I love in wrestling. It looks like it hurts, but it looks like it's done safely. Like, New Japan gets less injuries and less actual concerns and stuff like that than WWE does. Mainly because they don't wrestle as often, which is also a bonus. You get to live in Japan and move around and just experience the culture, and you only wrestle every now and again. So that would be a lot of fun.
I was expecting you to say Progress or, like, something.
A Progress or well, it's kind of the issue in the fact that I don't actually watch a lot of UK independence. I'd like to be involved in it. Like, if I ever did get the spur to actually get in good shape and take on wrestling, then I would end up having to at least start on the UK independence, and that's a good place to go. It's reasonably thriving in the UK at the moment, even if WWE is trying to swallow a lot of it up. But yeah, there's places like Progress is probably the standout one, but could work for Defiant Wrestling or something along those lines. Maybe ICW if I went insane and wanted to go up to Scotland. But it's there's a few options. But I think the overall goal for me would be to, at some point in that mindset, wrestle for New Japan.
I think Tony would be a great fit at a company like Chikara.
Where everything's just like stupid gimmicks and stuff.
Yeah, I think Tony would be a good manager in Chikara.
Just Captain this one's the trash man, and maybe. Let's go to Frankie's questions. Do you think NXT is now in trouble due to the talent being moved up? Tag teams might be an issue. No, I think that they're going to be okay. And I don't remember if we talked about this on the hot tags or if we just talked before or afterward. But if we didn't talk about it, then I'll kind of touch base on it now. NXT has a reputation of being the minor leagues. So if there's a little bit of a dip down in quality, it's going to be forgivable. It's not going to be the same as when Monday Night Raw sucks. There's going to be a window of opportunity for people that can step up from the Performance Center. Like, Cesar Bononi has been around for, I don't know how long, and he really hasn't done anything. And he might not be worth anything, but for him and Adrian Joud, now they are going to be a tag team that they can actually use. And if the Ely brothers were still around, they both ended up getting released, then that could be like, those types of people are going to be able to move up and fill that gap a little bit. And over the next 4 or 5 months, when we get this adjustment period over with and the Superstar Shakeup ends and all the other kind of things like that, you're going to see some changes. But just because we're going to lose EC3 and eventually, at some point, Aleister Black and Undisputed Era and all that, they'll figure out ways to bump everybody else up, and they'll bring new people in, and, the Performance Center will switch them people out, and, it'll work. I think they'll be fine. How you guys feel? You worried?
Look at who got pulled up. Nobody, other than maybe Lacey, that was really like, oh, look out for this one in 2019. EC3 can be argued, but I thought he was ready for the full-time roster anyway, because he'd already been there, so... they're really just losing out on Heavy Machinery, who they weren't putting the belts on them anytime soon, so why not move them up? I think NXT will be fine. The biggest gap is in the women's division, and maybe that's where Duke and Shafir step up, or, maybe even a permanent move over for somebody like Mia Yim or somebody. I don't know.
Well, she's already there. But they do have Deonna Purrazzo waiting in the wings. They have MJ Jenkins. I mean, this doesn't really matter all that much, but they've got, like, Reina Gonzalez, so she probably will end up getting released.
Look at
more
Chelsea
than
Green.
anything.
She's still...
Right.
Yeah, Chelsea's still there. Tegan Knox eventually at some point, although I think she's going to go to NXT UK. I was actually pretty surprised with Jessie Elapan. Like, she might be a big thing. She might be like the next Bailey.
Very good as well.
Yeah, she kicked some serious ass at the Mae Young Classic this year. She improved a lot.
The women's division in NXT will never be a huge issue because of the Mae Young Classic, because they can always see which people they want to sign up from there, and they'll usually get a significant number of them if they want them.
Casey Catanzaro.
Yeah. With these...
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, she's awesome as well. I was just saying, with like the people that came up, NXT aren't in trouble definitely due to these people going up, because essentially all the people they brought up weren't pulling up any trees in NXT at the moment anyway. I mean, EC3's got a lot of potential, but he wasn't doing anything. He was feuding with Bobby Fish, so it's not like he was a big star in NXT. Lars Sullivan is probably the biggest loss in that regard, because he was a definitive main eventer in NXT, but he wasn't fighting for the championship. Lacey Evans is being called up way too soon. It's only because she's got a good Marine background story, and she's blonde, so that's Vince McMahon's type. So of course she was called up ahead of more deserving people. Nikki Cross had done everything she could do in NXT, and she needs to go with the Sanity people as soon as possible. Heavy Machinery were just a tag team there, and they're probably only picked up because they're big. Like, if NXT could have been trouble if they'd have actually picked people of consequence to go up. If they'd said, "Oh God, so we're bringing up the Undisputed Era, Ricochet, Aleister Black, and
Velveteen Dream, Gargano, and Ciampa."
Yeah, Velveteen Dream, and like War Raiders and Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane all at once. Then you just go, oh, okay, NXT's in a bit of... Like, they'd still recover from it because it's NXT and they've still got a lot of people coming through, but it would take a big hit for, probably a couple of months or whatever. But they brought up a load of people that really didn't matter to the week-to-week product at this point in time.
Shit, I'd have more faith that NXT would be able to put on a better product if they got half of their roster moved up to the main roster and had to start with just like, all right, we're going to do kind of like a reboot type thing. I would have more faith that they'd be able to pull that off than what WWE is able to pull off with the people that they have.
Yeah, I would.
You know.
Well, I think NXT would put on a better show if they took, okay, so we're going to move half our roster up, and we're going to take some of like your also-rans like Zack Ryder and Mike Kanellis and Tyler Breeze, whatever, and we're just going to bring them down to NXT for a while, and we'll just show you how they could be put into a much better situation.
We'll just show you how it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Yeah.
Could Mustafa Ali emerge as a star on SmackDown Live? Definitely. Yeah. He already is. I think he's going to be probably United States champion at 2019.
He's got such a good like story and personality behind him, and he's great in the ring. He's got, I wouldn't say like he's overly charismatic, but he has a real charisma about him, in the sense that he kind of just feels like a cool guy, a good babyface. And like if WWE is in need of anything desperately right now, it's like good baby faces.
You know who he reminds me of in a way that I'm sure from me saying it, it's going to be like, what? But hear me out. He kind of reminds me a little bit of somebody like a Chris Benoit, where he's not good at cutting any promos. And he's not like, obviously he doesn't have the same gimmick as Benoit or whatever like that, but that there's some kind of an intangible, oh, I like this wrestler type thing with him. Do you guys know what I mean?
I disagree with you on the promos. The things that he does when he shoots them himself and he's, just outside like he was doing on 205 Live, those are very well done. But yeah, I can see what you're saying. It's that it's nothing about the character. It's just, he has a presence about him. He has his work rate and the way he carries himself. He's going to be a big star.
He's a wrestling fan's wrestler.
Yeah.
So he's not someone who like maybe like you never know, but he doesn't seem like someone that would catch like major mainstream attention. But he's somebody that all wrestling fans will look at and say, "Wow, Mustafa Ali's wrestling. That's going to be a good match."
Yeah, I did that last night.
Even people that don't watch 205 Live, which is criminal, I've been watching the Twitter feed and stuff like that when 205 Live's happening all the time. And on SmackDown recently, I've been seeing a lot of people going, who's this guy from 205 Live? And then afterward going like, oh, damn, Mustafa Ali, somebody to pay attention to. Like, it's working. He's getting people talking. That's great. So he could be a big player for SmackDown in this next year.
Just put it this way.
He could be that one to watch, you know what I mean? He may be shoo-in for Money in the Bank.
Put it this way, you don't pin the WWE champion even in a tag team match if you're not going to be pushed at least in the short term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could get that Royal Rumble shot, like, match against Daniel Bryan. He could be set up for a United States Championship reign at some point, maybe even WrestleMania. Or he could be still hanging around 205 Live. I mean, this could be the type of thing where they want to have him on SmackDown to give a little bit of a boost to that, and then he wins the title on 205 Live, and they think that maybe that way it gets people watching 205 Live. There could be a lot of plans, but I think that they kind of realized that he's damn good in the ring, and something happened. Something sparked something.
Listen, if he gets that match with Bryan, that's undoubtedly going to be a very good match, and I would argue a match that can compete with anything NXT produces the night before. And if he gets a match of the year candidate in there, then he's definitely going to be forever remembered, at least for the one match.
For then,
now, never. God, that really left an impression on you, huh?
He just started choking up, and it was like, well, maybe you shouldn't be crying, being upset about this crap if you didn't book the show so stupidly. I don't know. Let's see. Another question is, what will Paige do now? I don't think WWE knows.
They don't.
That's why they're being vague.
They completely don't. They said, she's not going anywhere, but it's a new role. Yay, Paige. Thank you, Paige. Yeah.
Yeah, we want to thank her for her job. She's a former general manager. She's not going anywhere, but her role is going to change, which means all right,
pre-show panel, baby.
It's got to be something stupid like that. Either they haven't done anything with Alexa Bliss, so you can kind of assume that maybe the whole Alexa Bliss in charge thing is gone too, but maybe it isn't. I don't know. And if they keep Alexa Bliss in charge of the women's division on Monday Night Raw, kind of defeats the purpose of this whole no general manager thing, but whatever. Then I could see them doing that with Paige and just saying, well, Paige is the equivalent. She's in charge of the women's division on SmackDown. And they also haven't, for that matter, said that this changes anything with 205 Live. Now, we might get that later on today because it's only 4:30 right now, so I don't know about what airs for like a backstage segment of 205 Live, but maybe Paige is just going to be a manager of somebody. Like, she's just going to take on being the mouthpiece for who needs it. Because they can't do the whole absolution thing again. I don't know. Maybe she gets put down into NXT and she starts working some kind of role down there. I don't know. That's tough.
She could be a good. It depends how long Johnny Saint's in the position, but she could be a future general manager of NXT UK.
That'd be good to have her replace Johnny Saint.
Well, I know it's not a full-time brand, but I don't think they can move her to the UK because, you know, she has businesses here and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see what happens now.
Yeah, she can get rid of those businesses.
Definitely a shitty deal for her, you know? Like, she was thriving. We just said when we did the Mount Rushmore, you know, let's see where she goes. She's doing her job. All she did was do her job. She doesn't need to be penalized for it.
Yeah, I'm thinking Xavier Woods as well now.
Oh God, I just realized what I said.
It's a new role. Yes, it is.
By the way, everybody, if you did not notice it, and I didn't notice it at first, but go back and watch Big E during that first segment of SmackDown when they're all sitting there. He's eating a donut or something, and he's giving Daniel Bryan these, like, fuck me eyes, kind of. And Daniel Bryan looks at him, and then he just kind of looks away like, yeah, I don't need to be looking at this right now. I love it. It's great. Paige, I don't think WWE knows. I think that they are being purposely vague, just like they are with everything else, because they don't have a clue what they're doing. And I honestly don't think that they're actually going to do anything. But with Paige, they needed to address that because they've said no more general managers. And if they wouldn't have said that, then it would have been like, all right, so no more general managers, but 24 hours later, you already go against the rule. So, yeah.
Well,
they've already done that with certain other things, too.
Good for them for the continuity, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, they managed it for 1 week, for a couple of days.
Hey, that's impressive for them, damn it. That is good for them.
Frankie asks, how would you rank in order the three people that have the most potential? You got Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, and Dominik Dijakovic, which, let me just, side note here, I fucking don't like the whole Dominik Dijakovic name. Well, Chris Dijak worked fine. Donovan Dijak worked fine.
They just have to put their own brand on it.
Dijakovic, like, oh, come on. What are you, Russian now? Like, that's stupid. I would say, actually, in order, I'd go Dijakovic has the most potential, and then Matt Riddle, and then Keith Lee. All three are good, though.
In what? In what?
Yeah, what universe does Donovan Dijakovic have the most potential?
I think he actually impressed me a lot. He's a big, tall guy who was moving around in the ring pretty damn smooth. And Matt Riddle, I got a feeling like that he might be a little bit overhyped. And Keith Lee's got the fat thing working against him in certain regards, too. I honestly, I think Dijakovic's going to win a title before the two other ones do.
You know what that's an example of? He's so ingrained in the WWE mindset.
Yeah. Oh God, it's the big guy, the big blonde guy. He's going to be
yeah.
The big blonde
I honestly,
guy. He's going to be the.
He's going to be the next North American champion, I think.
Like the stoner with all the ability. He's intercontinental level, maybe in the fat guy. He's fat. What are we gonna do with him? He's fat.
Well, Riddle is my pick to beat Ciampa. So I'm not selling him short, but I think that Riddle's going to fall into a thing where over the next couple of months, if he doesn't kind of click in a certain way, that people are going to be like, it's not working out as well. Like he's so hyped right now that I think he's not going to be able to live up to those expectations that fast, and that's going to hurt him. He does seem impressive, though.
I would say with these three, like you put these three in a match, it could be the greatest triple threat match you ever see, because these three have had amazing matches on the independent circuit with each other, especially Keith Lee and Djakovic. They've actually had some like really good matches on the independent circuit, like stuff that was rated in the Observer at like 5 stars and stuff like that. However you take that with a pinch of salt or whatever, but they're very highly regarded. I think if I was to order them, Matt Riddle has the most, just due to the mixture of the fact of his age, and he's just such a natural at all of this stuff, and he's got such a weird but engrossing charisma. Keith Lee is just so charismatic, just effortlessly charismatic, and the thing that's kind of holding him back from being the top one is the look. Depends on who wants to take it, but he does so much athletic stuff for a guy of his size that I don't think it's too much of an issue. The biggest factor would probably be his age. I think he's the oldest out of the 3 of them, so we don't know how long he's going to be able to stay near the top. And Djakovic is the biggest, and he's a very, very talented wrestler. The charisma vacuum, like between those two and Djakovic, is so wide. There's no way that, unless you give Djakovic a mouthpiece or you give him a gimmick which doesn't involve a lot of talking or saying on those lines, then he's not going to stand out as much.
There you go, Paige.
I think Matt Riddle is the one with the most potential, because he's just bound to be a star. Next, I would put Dijak, because he is a really big guy who moves effortlessly, and I think that they're going to want to do so much with him. And you could say the same for Keith Lee, but at the end of the day, he does have that look working against him. And I think he might end up being that Cassius Ohno level NXT homer. So I think it's Riddle, Dijak, and then Keith Lee.
I would say this as well, just along the lines of, even though I think Matt Riddle has the most potential, the one out of all the 3 of them that I see as a world champion is Keith Lee. Just because
really?
he can carry it on the microphone, as well as I don't. Matt Riddle's a little too kooky to me to be, and I know that's just his style, but he seems a little too goofy for me, and WWE might run with that too much for him to be taken seriously as a world champion. And also the marijuana thing might work against him. And I just don't think the fact Djakovic has the character. Keith Lee is the one that stands out as like, okay, if this guy's my world champion, this works, no matter how he looks. Like,
in any fashion, these 3 are 3 of the reasons why we say that NXT is going to be fine.
Oh yeah, these 3 are gonna be very prominent in the NXT landscape for 2019. Like, at least one of them, if not all 3 of them, will be champions by the end of the year.
Very much so. What's your favorite Christmas song? Oh Holy Night. If I have to go through like a top 5, number 2 is Carol of the Bells. For those who don't know, that's the dun 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 dun. Really a big fan of Somewhere in My Memory from Home Alone. That counts. And to a certain extent, Silent Night's good. White Christmas is fine. We Wish You a Merry Christmas is good, depending on who sings it. But Oh Holy Night to me is easily number 1.
What class is a Christmas song?
There's like a billion of them.
Oh yeah, there's loads of them. It just like, would you go with like a carol, or do you go with like something that's more mainstream, that's been in the charts, whatever? Just there's quite a lot of options. I'd probably go with I like Do They Know It's Christmas? You know, the Live 8 song.
Yeah.
I think that's like, it was a very interesting concept of just bringing all those people together for like a tribute act thing, and there's so many famous names involved in it that I think it's well put together piece of music.
For me, probably Hall & Oates' Jingle Bell Rock. That is up there. Honorable mention to Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney, and the Heat Miser and Snow Miser songs from. They're great, Tony, and you need to accept it.
Those songs are actually pretty like catchy. I only had to listen to them like a couple of times, and they were just like stuck in my head now.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember them.
They're just so easy.
Well-
they're just two lines repeated over and over again.
What are the
Tony's
lines?
Grinch,
Like
clearly.
I'm Mr. White Christmas, I'm Mr. Snow, I'm Mr.
Icicle.
Icicle, I'm Mr. Ten Below. They call me Snow Miser. Whatever I touch turns to snow in my clutch. I'm too much. And then it's just repeated.
Maybe that's why I hated it, because it was just repeated, and then it's
And
just
then
like,
the
I
Heat
get it, you're the fucking cold one. Like,
And then the Heat Miser is the one that is the exact same tune, just with a few words changed.
And that's I'm Mr. Green Christmas, I'm Mr. Sun, I'm Mr. Heat Blister, I'm Mr. 101. Friends call me Heat Miser, whatever I touch starts to melt in my clutch. I'm too much. That's it.
what would you guys say? This isn't the question, but it's kind of the opposite. What's one of the most annoying Christmas songs?
Mariah Carey.
Oh, that Britney Spears Christmas song. What is it
Which
called?
one?
Like Santa, Can You Hear Me? Or something along those lines.
I don't hear that one nearly as much as
I heard it in like a shop that I was just in, like, because they sometimes play Christmas music over the top of it during this time of the year, and I was in it and I just listened to it. But what the fuck is this? Like, and it's Britney Spears, so obviously it's horrible. But you know, it's.
I don't think I know that one, but if I
Don't
heard
listen
it,
to
I
it.
probably would.
Yeah, don't listen to it. Yeah, Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You" is just overdone too much. I don't think it's a terrible song; it's just overdone.
It's terrible when people start singing it too.
Oh yeah, people think that they can sing that.
The one that I go to when I think of like, oh my god, I need to shut this off, is Santa Baby.
Depends
I
on who's singing it.
fucking hate that one so much. That's just like weird and creepy and just I just no.
What's your guys' opinion on the whole
Don't get
"Baby
me
It's Cold
started.
Outside"?
No, it's ridiculous that we live in a time where this damn song where the two people are clearly flirting. People are, it's rape. It's not rape, guys. It's not rape.
Yeah, it's not. It's just people trying to take things the wrong way. Now, if it's like, I could see where some people could be like, oh, it maybe the guy's kind of pressuring a little bit, but it's like, if you look for things, you can find issues with so many things, and that they literally did not make a fucking Christmas song about that. Like, that wasn't the point of the Christmas song.
Yeah.
You know, it's just people want to complain about everything. Somebody woke up that day and they were like, I'm gonna target this, and then
I do have
So
to say
Rudolph
that
or Frosty, which one is better?
what was that?
Rudolph or Frosty, which one is better?
Frosty. I'd probably go.
yeah, Rudolph doesn't have a hat.
I'd go with Frosty too, actually.
Let's see, we've got, if you had a boat, well, oh no, we got do you have a Christmas tree and decorations? Is your tree real or fake? Fake tree and decorations.
It's a fake tree and it's decorated. Christmas is actually my mother's favorite time of the year, and she really comes to life during this time of the year and goes all out with the decorations.
Like Frosty?
And yes, exactly.
Remember a
like Frosty.
snowman?
Yeah, I put a hat on my mom, and she just happy birthday, and that's it. But yeah, so Christmas is awesome around my house, and it's always decorated and nice.
Yeah,
And
fake
fake
tree.
tree.
Yeah, fake tree, just tinsel decorations. Goes up a couple of days beforehand, goes down a couple of days afterwards. Just get it out of the way.
Really, we put it up Thanksgiving weekend, and it goes down on the day of the Three Wise Kings. So I think it's like the 6th or the 7th of January.
I just see it's just too much effort for, like, especially when you don't have any kids in the house anymore. It's just too much
yeah.
effort to do.
Wish I could say that. Yeah,
It's
So-
kind of for them, really. So if I did have kids, then I probably would put more effort into it. Now it's just like a load of like adults in the house, whatever. It's just, yeah, we can do this. Like we'll make it look nice just for the heck of it, but then we'll just immediately get rid of it because it's all over the place and it's getting in the way of stuff.
So the question I was going to jump to before, if you had a boat, what would you name it? Ricky the Dragon Steam.
You sure you didn't want it to be the tugboat boat?
No, that would just be too Inception level. Tug of the tugboat, boat. It would just be, nobody would get the joke. At least with Ricky the Dragon Steam, somebody might be like, Ricky the Dragon Steam, but oh, okay, I get it, you know.
Well, next I'm gonna name mine Willie, of course.
Steamboat Willie.
Yeah.
Yes, you get it eventually. I'd probably call it something stupid like Titanic 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was actually gonna say that, but then I went, I don't want to get morbid.
The I'll never let go, Jack.
Oh, that would be so good to name it like that. It's like, I'd probably go like Jack Let Go. Just call it that.
I saw a picture. I saw a picture on Reddit the other day that there was a boat and it was on the side of it said, "Who's a failure now, Dad?" was the name of the boat. Like, that's funny. Never wanted a boat. If I had all the money in the world, I wouldn't buy a boat. But maybe I would just for the Ricky the Dragon Steam kind of thing.
I'd buy it,
I've
but
been
just
sold
leave it
somebody.
outside. Yeah, I'd buy it, just leave it outside my house. Just pretend that I'm on the water instead.
Doesn't Vince own a yacht named the SS Sexy Bitch?
He used to, at the very least. I don't know if he still owns it, but yeah, he did own that.
The SS Sexy Beast. Is that what you said?
No,
Sexy Bitch.
Sexy Bitch?
Yeah.
That's even worse. God damn it, Vince.
I mean, that probably got a more comfortable ride than Linda, so.
Do you like the Forgotten Sons? Riker is the best out of the three. I totally agree. If they released Blake and Cutler, I wouldn't be all that bent out of shape.
Riker's Gunner, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He was ready many years ago for a WWE run. And I like Wesley Blake, and I think Blake and Murphy were an underrated tag team. And I don't know much about Steve Cutler, but the other two are great, and I'm sure I'll get very familiar with them pretty soon as I start to watch NXT and, get ready for Phoenix and stuff like that. But yeah, I see great things for them.
I find them very forgettable, which is probably the point, really. But yeah, they're just a heel stable at this point in time. Maybe they'll get a bit more shine when the Undisputed Era depart, but right now they're just three dudes to me. I kind of like the idea, the gimmick behind them originally, and I think Riker does have a lot of potential because he's been good for a number of years now, so he should get his opportunity. But they haven't really done enough yet to make me care about them at all.
Do you think that Kurt Hawkins will ever win again? He has to at some point, right?
If I were him, I would. Anytime someone would come up to him and say, "Okay, you're going to win this match," I'd be going to them saying, "No, I don't want to win.
No,
this is his gimmick. This is his thing. This is his meal ticket for the rest of his career. The only time he ever has to win again is his final wrestling match."
Yeah, but I mean, even then, he still has to win sometime, unless he gets like injured or something weird. But
I'd be perfectly fine with him leaving WWE, never having won, and then coming back for sporadic appearances and never winning. And then everyone would get so behind him because they'd be thinking, "Oh my god!" Especially if he was appearing sporadically and stuff like that. "Oh my god, this is actually going to be his win because he's come back for this special thing and he still loses." And eventually, maybe like 10 years from now, or whatever, like when he's just like close to the end of his career, almost even or stuff like that he managed to get like a fluke roll up, or someone helps him win a match or whatever, and then the crowd goes wild. I think he will win eventually again. But if I was him, I wouldn't want it to be anytime soon. I'd want him to get to at least 500 matches before that happens.
Yeah, he doesn't need to ever win again. I actually think there's been stories already of, "Hey, you're gonna win," and he said, "No, I'm not. This is my thing." And I'm not winning anytime soon. But, and this is me completely spitballing. Yeah, you got Hawkins and Ryder if you want a tag team, just saying. You got them
Yeah.
there.
They could always do that. Now, they could always do that and lose. That's one thing, but I'd be cool with Kurt Hawkins winning at some point just to kind of do something silly with it. Like, maybe he wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal or something like that. But I'd rather it go on a little bit longer before that happens.
I think at this point where you stretched out for so long, it either has to be like an Andre the Giant Battle Royal, or he needs to win a title.
Yeah, see, I'd even actually be kind of cool with that. If he
I'd have him
were to
beat Dean
win...
Ambrose. I don't want Dean Ambrose to be Intercontinental Champion anymore. It's only been a week. I don't want him to be Intercontinental Champion anymore, so I'm fine with Kurt Hawkins beating him for it.
Fuck it, have him beat Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that'd be so...
I'd be fine with it, actually. Like, in all seriousness, I would be fine with Kurt Hawkins beating Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, in the same
Just
way
say, screw it.
Yeah, in the same way I would have been fine with Morella winning the Royal Rumble.
I could totally see them doing that. Like, you know what? We're just gonna have Hawkins beat Brock Lesnar, and then he'll lose it immediately after, or the next week or whatever. But Kurt Hawkins is obviously really underrated, and he was a great wrestler. I say was because I think this will be his gimmick from now until the end of time. And yeah, at least he found a way to make money doing what he loves.
This was an interesting question here. Would you rather see the beginning of the Earth or experience the end of the Earth? The beginning, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we'll need to hypothesize about seeing the end of the Earth.
You don't think you're going to be around in a couple of weeks?
Oh yeah, well, definitely. I was assuming more, maybe I'd give us maybe a decade. I mean, at the end of the day, you kind of know how the end of the Earth is going to end. It's either going to end with global warming taking hold, or it's going to end with some massive nuclear war that takes place in the next few years or so. So it's kind of already been spoiled. So
well, look, we ruin Earth through the nuclear war type thing. Something happens like an asteroid or a solar flare, or you get the heat death of the universe or some kind of fucking black hole type thing or something, and all of that's depressing. You're just seeing horrible destruction and death and all that. If you see the beginning of, if you go as far back as the beginning of Earth technically would be the Big Bang, you start to get answers about how things happen, why life exists and stuff. You get to see that fucking big hand if you're in DC. Well,
that would also have a sort of melancholy sadness to it, because you see what the Earth just originally looks like, or see the formations of it, and just go, oh, it's going to be so sad when this dies. See what happens to it. It's
oh, little fella, you're in for a long fucking road.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely the beginning.
Imagine finding out that the dinosaurs were actually incredibly tiny.
Or that they talked.
Yeah.
Or that they were killed by Trump pressing a button. The dinosaur version of Donald Trump pressing the button.
No,
even something like that. If you're going back to quote unquote the beginning of Earth, and you're not going back to the beginning of the universe or anything like that, you'd be able to see if there were aliens involved. And then Giorgio Tsoukalos will have his answers.
We're all dying soon. That's sad.
Yeah, we're all dying. One at a time.
Yeah.
Would you rather have 7 fingers on each hand or 7 toes on each foot? 7 toes, for sure. You can wear shoes and cover it up.
I think the 7 fingers on each hand would be practical.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think the 7 toes would make it, anything easier to do.
Yeah, then everybody's going to go, look at that, you got an extra finger on each hand.
Well, I assumed we were talking about this in the normal sense. This is just the thing. Everybody has 7 fingers.
Yeah, I kind of took it the sense of this is what humans would be like now, as opposed to I'm just the only guy with 7 fingers. But even so, if I had that freaky thing, I'd want to show it off, really. So I'd say, yeah, it's pretty cool or interesting. The 7 toes, it's that would be the one that you would go to if you were trying to hide it. But I'd kind of eventually you'd have to embrace it because eventually someone's going to see you have one of those things. So just embrace it.
Can I type faster if I have 7 fingers?
I'd imagine so. Yeah.
Maybe I'll go with that then.
I mean,
Get done my articles quicker.
7 toes just seems like, it only benefits people who have foot fetishes, and never been a thing for me. So,
Think about it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's never made any sense.
If it was like a change that happened, none of your shoes would fit anymore. You'd have to buy just a whole new set of shoes, and they don't make shoes for people with 7 feet. Whereas, like, it's not like you could probably make gloves. Just take up knitting. Probably quicker with 7 fingers as well. So, just more practical.
I still want to cover them up. You can't wear gloves all the time. Then you're just a weirdo with the gloves.
No, then you're just Mickey Mouse or Sonic or Bugs Bunny.
This, I still kind of don't understand what Frankie was going with here. So if we get this wrong, Frankie, clarify in the comments. But the way that he had typed it was, would you rather eat pizza for only year for the rest of your life or just year without pizza for the rest of your life? So I'm assuming what it is, would you rather eat only pizza for an entire year, or would you rather not eat pizza for 1 year?
Well,
Is
I
that
think
how you guys think that?
it sounds to me like he was going to ask the year, and then he went with life. Like, would you rather eat pizza for the rest of your life or not?
What?
Like, rather eat only pizza or have a year without pizza?
Or never eat pizza again.
I think the question makes the most sense if it's the line of you can only have pizza as your only meal for a year. The only thing you can eat for a year is pizza, or you have to take an entire year off eating pizza.
Yeah, that's kind of how I took that.
It makes the most sense to me like that.
I'd rather take 1 year off of pizza.
Either way, Callum hates this question, or just would rather never touch pizza.
It's not as like a hatred of pizza. It's just I don't think the UK makes good pizza. I had pizza when I went to the Czech Republic and stuff like that, and their pizza's really nice because it's Mediterranean pretty much. So they actually make pizzas properly. Whereas in this country, it's just bread, cheese, and tomatoes and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, it's fine, but it's nothing special.
If you ever come to Philly, New York, the Pizza Belt, you need to just eat some real pizza.
Yeah, I will do that as long as you pay.
But I'm pretty sure that there's a direct quote from some episode of Smack Talk where you said, "I hate pizza and chocolate and puppies and."
I'm pretty sure I said that, and I'm pretty sure I said something about I wish all children in the world were dead and stuff like that and things like that.
Yeah, I mean I'm like 98% sure. I'd go no pizza for a year because as much as I love pizza, if I only ate pizza for a year, first off, I'd be dead because it's just that much grease and stuff, but I would get sick of it after a while just because you could get sick of anything after a year. And that would be a shit year to not eat pizza for a year, but you know what? I could do it because I could get away with eating other variations of stuff. Like, oh, you didn't say that I couldn't have garlic bread, and I couldn't have... technically, I guess you could eat like a panzerotti or a stromboli or something like that if you want to fuck around with that. So, haha.
Yeah, because that first pizza, when the year is up, oh my god.
That first bite, that little tip of the triangle,
just
start shaking. Somebody's like, is he like a diabetic? And it's like, no, he just hasn't eaten pizza for a year. I get it. Oh my god, I want pizza now.
Gives a whole new meaning to the phrase, just the tip.
Penalized. What's the best gift you've ever received? Honestly, I didn't think of an answer for this one. I don't know.
There's loads and loads and loads that could potential options. The one that sticks out in my mind is when I was a little kid, I got a Buzz Lightyear action figure. And it's not like the best in terms of like the functionality of it or stuff like that, but it's just like it's one that sticks out in my mind. It's just like
they really liked it.
Yeah, that's one that like you got it and it made your day. It didn't just make your day; it made your life. Essentially, at that point, it's like something that you wanted so badly, and something that you just like you either didn't expect to get, or was just like maybe surprised that you did get it, and then it just feels like the greatest day ever. Whereas getting stuff nowadays, it's like it's great for the moment, and you appreciate it because it's thoughtful when other people get you stuff, but it just doesn't resonate with the same level of impact as it would do as a kid.
All right, so this is a tad on the sentimental side, but one time randomly, just getting out of the shower, looked on my bed, there was the awful and atrocious, and to this day it's the only one I have, yellow CM Punk shirt, and like I think some Hot Topic gift card or something. And my dad said, "Hey, I heard that this dude was fucking with the Undertaker, and I figured you'd like that." And it was such a surprise, and one of the only like genuine like, wow, that was really cool moments that I'd had with him and just my adult life in general. So that's probably up there as my best gift of all time.
Do you guys do the same thing that I do when it comes to gifts, where you sort of feel guilty to get anything at all, so
Yes.
it takes the fun out of it?
Yeah, I feel-
Now, yeah.
I enjoy getting stuff for other people, and I hate receiving stuff. It's like I
Yeah.
think so many people fall into that trap.
Like, it doesn't matter what I've done the entire year, and it doesn't matter what somebody gets me. I could be like constantly helping them out with everything in their entire life, and they can get me a $5 gift card for something, and I'm like, oh, you shouldn't have. I feel like shit. Like, and that's totally not what they're going for. They want me to be happy, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm sucking all the fun out of it because I'm just like, I don't deserve this. I'm a terrible person. And it's
yeah, I could cure cancer, and I'd feel upset about getting like a Nobel Prize for it. I'd feel like
right. People did real stuff, not me.
Oh, now I gotta get you all something. Fuck.
Right. Yeah. Oh, now I gotta get the Nobel Peace Prize for all of you.
Oh, what about this guy? This guy, like, he created a nice, like, I don't know, a nice little cellophane phone that you can, like, a new thing to do that. Give him the prize instead.
Yeah.
I just cure cancer. There's nothing, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's just a Wednesday, everybody.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You guys ever do a white elephant gift exchange?
Only once.
What's a white elephant?
It's like a.
It's kind of like well, the rule is essentially you have a maximum, sometimes a minimum, but usually it's a maximum money that you spend, and everybody who's a part of it, they bring some kind of a mystery gift. And when you draw like your names out of a hat or some kind of randomizer or something like that, and whoever is first, they pick. They just open up a prize, a gift, not a prize, and everybody from then on, they can either steal one of the other gifts that have already been opened, or they can open up a brand new one, and it kind of goes around and gives people the opportunity to do that. So if you are the last person, you get to pick out of all the things that have been opened, or open up the very last thing, and you could get the best thing possible, essentially. And if you're the first person who gets picked, you will almost assuredly end up with something stupid, because people do joke gifts and people do serious gifts and stuff. Dace has had a white elephant gift exchange thing for the past couple of years, and last year I ended up walking away with a Wawa gift card, which is, if you're in any area that has Wawa, it's like gold because you just go to Wawa all the time. There's been like lots of joke gifts, like the thing with the year with Harambe. When that happened, one of my friends had this box filled with stuff, like there was a little kid's book and it was Harambe's Bad Day.
Oh, no.
and a little like stuffed gorilla, and like all this like other kind of like Harambe type themed things and stuff. Spoiling it for my for Dace's party on Saturday, but I actually ordered a little white elephant thing, because I'm like, I want to be literal about this and give a white elephant for the white elephant gift exchange. And I have a real fucking thing with it too. It's some little cornhole game thing, but like those are kind of fun because you never know what's happening, and I'm really curious what the hell stupid thing I end up with this year. But that at least is not the type of thing where you walk away feeling guilty that you got something because you're like, oh, it's, these are all like joke type stuff, or, oh man, I got an Amazon Echo or something. Like, you never know what you're going to get. And that's not the same as when somebody's like, oh, I bought you this thing that you should really like, and it means a lot to me that I bought this for you. And then you're like, I don't want to open it.
So my one white elephant was in Hawaii, and I hadn't had a haircut or a shave in about like 7-8 months at that point. I was really white family looking, and hair was down to my shoulders, and I grab a shaving kit.
Nice.
And somebody yells out, "Good, now you can use it!" And I think I was the first one to go, and it just broke the ice. Very funny story. And yeah, white elephants are fun.
You ended up with it? Nobody stole it?
Yeah, I ended up with it. Nobody stole it.
Somebody at Days' last year ended up with a box of chapstick.
Ugh.
It's like, so, fuck if I know. I could end up walking away with a signed picture of Dace. For all I know. I'll probably report back and tell everybody if I got something interesting or whatever, but final couple questions here. Have you ever had a childhood nickname, and if so, what was it? No, never really did. I had a couple people that called me a couple different things, but it was like specific for those people. A friend of mine, his dad used to call me Famous for some reason. He'd be like, yo, there's Famous. I don't really know why. One girl got really jealous of me being the smartest person in the class for this one class, because it was like, I mean, there was no comparison. It was easily the smartest, because I had, like, not even tooting my own horn about it, like, just, I took something that was a lower level than I needed to because I wanted to be easier. Like, I didn't want to do as much work, so they were dealing with shit, and people are like, oh man, I'm struggling to get a 60 here, and I'm like, yeah, I got 100 and I didn't even read the questions, like that type of thing. So she called me the Shining Star because she was always like, oh, look at this, the fucking Shining Star got 100, that kind of a thing.
So
I got the whole.
Go to Puerto Rico?
No, I didn't get a pamphlet for it.
Yeah.
People did the whole thing, like the rhyming stuff, like Tony Macaroni, Tony Baloney, all of that stuff, but that's not really a nickname. That's just sort of stupid little things. I had two girls that referred to me in code as Sweet Maurice because we were in theater together, and I did some kind of thing where my character ended up being Maurice, and somebody else's character was like, oh, Sweet Maurice, something, something, whatever. So they had a crush on me, and when they would try to talk about me, they would refer to me as Sweet Maurice, which was really not the smartest thing because it was like, oh, I know that you're talking about me, so you're not like code naming things that aren't related. But that's really it. Like, I mean, unless you count Tony as a nickname, but that really isn't. Nobody's ever like, there goes old, I don't know, gunslinger over there. Like, it's just like, no, I don't have any nicknames. What about you guys?
Well, mine's just very generic. They're always based around my second name. I don't like being called Cow. It really annoys me. So I would always like cut people off if they started calling me that, which obviously led to some people calling me that even more and getting on my nerves. But did
anybody call you Lum instead?
Yeah, they would often do that after I told them not to do it. But no, it was always Wiggles or Wigmeister, which is obviously I've adopted as my username. And most people that called me that originally, and it was only a few people in like a particular class that I was taking, and then they got annoyed that I started adopting it, because then it feels like, okay, you're actually enjoying this nickname, and so and you've kind of taken it for yourself really, rather than us being the one. And so they stopped calling me that, but I decided, no, you've called me a few times, so I think I'm okay to just say that's my nickname forever. So I just kept it as like a username for everything going forward.
So clearly you're Lummy the Wig. But that's you now, Lummy the Wig.
Like you're Mark Felice.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark DeFelice.
Mark DeFelice, yeah, that's it.
Exactly. So in high school, for whatever reason, people referred to me. I look like the main character of Ratatouille. Apparently, I don't know. I
The
never got
the
it.
rat or the yeah.
Honestly, that was never explained. I always assumed the rat, but that was never explained. And I was called Ratatouille for a good year and a half, maybe. And I never got it.
You would have thought they'd
Hard-
go something more original like Robertouille instead.
Yeah, these were not the creative people. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Because I mean, my name can be twisted into just like 5 different names alone. You got Rob, Bob, Bobby, Robbie. You know, like so. There's all types of things you can go with my first name. Nobody can get my last name right, which is as we see with the Mark DeFelis. Yeah, but Ratatouille sticks out. I can't remember any others if there were.
If you could choose your age forever, what number would you pick? I would stick at 31. It's still young, but still old to an extent. Like you don't lose credibility. You're not like 16, and people would be like, "Oh, you're 16. What do you know?" But you're not, 58 or something where you're like, "Oh, you're not young enough for this" or something. So you're right at that sweet range.
Scary thing is, I was gonna immediately say 25, and then I realized I am 25, and it's just really shocking that wow, you're at that age where you're kind of like, okay, I would like to stop here, mainly because of what you said. You're not like a teenager where people discount what you say, but you also have, you're young. You're not like being discounted in any way.
I would already go 22 because you're old enough that you can do essentially anything you want in life in the sense that you're that age, but you're also young enough is that people don't take you super seriously. So you can keep trying things and failing at things and trying picking up new stuff and things like that. And if it goes wrong, then you're still just a kid to a lot of people, so it's not a huge deal. If it goes really right, then you're seen as like a prodigy or like a real like superstar in the making, and you're still always going to be 22, so you can do that as often as you like. And some stuff will stick, some stuff won't stick, and it doesn't really matter because you're just 22.
So our final question here, what are some of your bold predictions for WWE for the coming year? And Frankie also says Merry Christmas, everybody. So Merry Christmas back to you, Frankie. And bold predictions. We will talk some of this when it comes to the one to watch and the future endeavors forecast. So I'm going to hold off on a little bit of that. And we're also going to talk a little bit about this just by proxy of the Smark Out Moment Awards. However, it's good to pitch out the idea. He suggests, will Kenny Omega come to WWE? Like, what things can pop up that'll be really surprising and stuff. I would say one bold prediction that I have is WWE is going to actually load up SmackDown on the Superstar Shakeup, and they could potentially get a third hour.
God, I hope you're wrong. Bold prediction for me. You know what? I think this is the year that the brand split does end because of the SmackDown thing. I think they've already taken steps towards that. And I think this is the year that we actually, truly, finally are done with Brock Lesnar. I think this is the year.
Bold predictions for WWE.
Or italics, if you haven't.
I would say a bold prediction. I think that it's not out of the realms of possibility. I know I kind of went on the things with Daniel Bryan and stuff, but like about his contract situation, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that AJ Styles leaves WWE this year. If the All Elite Wrestling thing does come to fruition and he does see an opportunity, because essentially he's done everything that he could really do in WWE. He's obviously had he could have lights and other matches that he hasn't had just yet, and things along those lines. But he's been one of the longest reigning WWE champions in history. He's carried the SmackDown brand for a huge amount of time. So maybe he only spent like 3 or 4 years in New Japan after leaving TNA. So maybe he's just like, okay, we'll see if this other venture takes off on the ground, and if it does, and his contract's coming up, then maybe he'll see an opportunity to depart. But I think probably a more reasonable, bold prediction would be that like Shawn Michaels comes back for a match at WrestleMania.
Well, if you listen to the TLC podcast, Tony was just repeatedly saying Shawn Michaels would win the Royal Rumble.
Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
He's my my number 1 or number 2 pick for the Royal Rumble right now.
I mean, no, I think maybe along the lines of, again, it usually rolls around like returns and stuff like that, because that's the only real predictions you can make with WWE, because even though they live in this realm where everything seems to be quite like boring and like a cookie cutter in terms of like their week to week stuff, but it's still a hugely unpredictable business. Like, it would be maybe something to do with if the XFL proves to, I mean, that's not going to happen next year, but if like in the build up to the XFL, it proves too demanding, then maybe we could see Triple H take over more of the reins in behind the scenes. So maybe that would be the bold prediction, is that maybe Triple H takes over one of the shows, one of the actual like 2 main shows.
We'll see. Because next time that we'll be doing a mailbag will be 2019. So that's how that works. Actually, this is the last time that you guys are going to be hearing from us on a regular episode, because the next thing that we're going to be doing is the end of the year awards. So no hot tags next week, because that's like Christmas or whatever, and fuck trying to do that. I think we all deserve days off. But we will be recording the end of the year awards 2 days from now, like this whole weekend kind of thing, and that'll be coming up sometime. I don't know when I'm going to schedule it for sure, but I might schedule it for the 26th. I might schedule it for the 27th. It's somewhere along the lines for next week. So the best way to be aware of when that gets posted is to subscribe on the YouTube channel and check off the bell for the notifications for the emails, because that will alert you of when that gets uploaded, as well as the Facebook and the Twitter. They're both at Smark Out Moment, so pay attention to that. You'll get notifications for the Smack Talk side of things, as well as the stuff on smarkoutmoment.com. That's just the articles. If you haven't yet voted, vote on the Smark Out Moment Awards as soon as you can after you're checking this out, because we will shut that off at, before Friday when we were recording. And the same thing for the end of the year feedback survey. So that just gives me a little bit of an indication, but I'm not going to shut that off right now. That can keep going. It's not like something that deals with, timing. So follow that stuff. If you want to show your support for the Patreon, go ahead and do that. And the TeePublic and Redbubble are the merchandise shops. Check that out. See if there's anything interesting there. Buy the Fickle shirt before WWE takes it down, because I'm sure that they will take that down. And check out fanboysanonymous.com. I mentioned that earlier, for a bunch of different types of things that are going on there. You're going to see whatever is happening on fanboysanonymous.com there. So just check that stuff out and subscribe all over the place on that. Check out eWrestling News, Bleacher Report, and all the other things that I've got going on, as well as the stuff that these two have going on as well. Callum?
Muted for a second. You can find me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. Check out some of the stuff that I've written recently on Smark Out Moment. Check out, I know TLC is past, but you can still learn about the history of TLC, just not the most recent history, because the event happened after I wrote that article. I'm not going to update it until next year or whatever. But or check out, if you want to see some predictions for next year, check my article about 10 WWE superstars that might want to leave to AEW if that gets off the ground. And obviously the power rankings that I work on every single week. And then guess I'll see you at the awards. And Rob?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DudeFleece. I am thinking about, what do you think about this, Tony? Just spitball an idea. Bring the triple threat back at the beginning of the year, because I totally spaced on questions because I started at eWrestling News this week.
We'll see.
Okay. So you can check out the triple threat. I'll probably end up drafting questions anyway because I never stop working apparently. Check out eWrestling News, but only from the hours of 9 to 12. When I'm working, then you could switch over to WrestleZone.com like I do and get all your wrestling news there. Yeah, WrestleZone has a good interview right now with AJ Styles where he kind of debunks something that Callum just said, where he says he still wants to do more in WWE. He doesn't feel like he's reached the pinnacle yet. He also talks about wanting to be there for his kids and wanting to make sure that they know they are his first priority. So check that out. Check out eWrestling News. Check out all the weeklies at Smark Out Moment, TimekillerApparel.com. And because this is the podcast for our diehards who sent us the questions, thank you for keeping our year intriguing, and thank you for giving us somebody to record these things for. We appreciate you.
I honestly thought you were going to go with something about Die Hard being a Christmas movie.
No, I not that clever, unfortunately.
Yes, thank you everybody who sent in your mailbag questions for not just December, but for the entire year, and continue to do that for next year. Start thinking of some questions you want to pick our brains about for January, and I don't know exactly when the mailbag is going to be happening in January because we have that one to watch and Future Endeavors forecast to start things off. We have TakeOver Blackpool that we have to take care of, TakeOver Phoenix and Royal Rumble, and somewhere along the line, we also have to throw in what has become like a tradition now, a fan announce table of some Royal Rumble. So I think that there's still one more week's worth that we could do mailbag if I maybe do it on like the 30th or something like that, but we'll figure it out. Either way, somewhere down the line, we're going to do a mailbag, even if it's just like a double episode or something like that. And if you want to send your questions in now, and I will backlog them, go ahead and do that. If you want to wait, whatever the case may be. But stay tuned for that whenever it's happening and all the other things that are coming your way. Most importantly, the 2018 Smark Out Moment Awards. So we will see you with that, everybody. Adios. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.